Tokyo, August 28, 2025. The steps of Japan's defence ministry became the stage for a meeting of symbolism and strategy as Britain's Defence Secretary John Healey walked alongside his Japanese counterpart Gen Nakatani. Cameras captured more than a handshake. This was a statement, two nations standing shoulder to shoulder, deepening an alliance that spans continents and oceans. Today's meeting was about more than formalities. It was about demonstrating that Britain and Japan, separated by geography but bound by shared values, are determined to reinforce their defence partnership. In a press announcement in Tokyo, both men emphasised that security challenges in one part of the world inevitably affect the other. The day's message was clear. The Indo-Pacific and the Euro-Atlantic are indivisibly linked. Healey set the tone with words carefully chosen for the cameras. He told reporters that this partnership with Japan is one of Britain's broadest and most important defence and security relationships. For Britain, a country with deep NATO roots, such language signalled a deliberate expansion of focus. For Japan, it reflected growing recognition that Europe's security is tied to Asia's stability. He pointed to tangible cooperation already underway. Britain has become the first European army to exercise on Japanese soil. This is no small milestone. It represents the crossing of old geographic boundaries, a visible reminder that defence partnerships are no longer confined to one region. Healey emphasised that cyber cooperation is being strengthened, Air Force drills are increasing, and naval deployments are reaching new levels. Perhaps the clearest symbol of this growing partnership is the deployment of the British aircraft carrier HMS Prince of Wales. Healey reminded the press that the ship now heads a 12-nation carrier strike group with 4,000 British personnel at sea as part of Operation High Mast. Their mission is not merely a show of strength, but a deliberate effort to uphold security and freedom of navigation in the Indo-Pacific. In plain terms, this is Britain planting its flag in waters far from home, joining allies to ensure that no single power dominates critical sea lanes. The Defence Secretary described how the programme of military exercises and diplomatic engagements surrounding the carrier strike group underscores a set of shared values. Britain and Japan, he said, both understand that security in the Indo-Pacific is interlinked with security in the Euro-Atlantic. This framing is strategic. It signals to allies and rivals alike that regional security cannot be siloed. A threat in the Pacific is a threat in Europe, and instability in Europe reverberates in Asia. For Japan, these assurances matter as regional tensions rise from disputes in the East China Sea to increasing pressure in the Taiwan Strait. Tokyo has sought new partners. The United States remains its cornerstone ally, but Britain's growing presence adds another layer of support. It demonstrates that democracies beyond the Pacific are ready to stand with Japan in times of uncertainty. For Britain, the tilt toward the Indo-Pacific is part of a broader global strategy. Post-Brexit, London has sought to redefine its role on the world stage. Military presence in the Pacific, participation in trade frameworks, and diplomatic outreach all feed into a narrative of global Britain. The partnership with Japan fits neatly into this ambition, providing Britain a key foothold in Asia while giving Japan another ally to balance regional dynamics. Yet the significance of this meeting stretches beyond bilateral ties. Analysts point out that the UK-Japan alignment adds to a growing network of partnerships in the Indo-Pacific. From Australia's UK-US Pact to European navies conducting freedom of navigation operations, the strategic pattern is clear. Nations are converging around the idea that stability in Asia requires collective responsibility. Healey's emphasis on cyber cooperation is also telling. In today's security environment, warfare is not only about ships, aircraft, or soldiers. It is about protecting infrastructure, communications, and data. Britain and Japan both face threats in the digital domain, and collaboration in cyber defence signals recognition that future conflicts will play out as much online as on land or sea. The imagery of today's press conference will endure, the two ministers flanked by their flags, the solemn handshakes, the promises of unity. But behind the symbolism is a complex, evolving partnership that mixes deterrence, diplomacy, and shared vision. Both sides know that sustaining this momentum requires more than announcements. It requires consistent military engagement, intelligence sharing, and political will. Operation High Mast illustrates that will in action. 8 months at sea for thousands of British personnel represents a commitment not only of resources, but of principle. For decades, the United Kingdom has viewed freedom of navigation as a bedrock of international order. In joining forces with Japan, it demonstrates that commitment is alive in the Indo-Pacific. For Japan, the timing is critical. Domestically, Tokyo faces debates about the size and scope of its self-defense forces. Regionally, it navigates a complex web of relations with China, North Korea, and its own neighbours. By welcoming Britain so visibly, Japan strengthens its case at home for international partnerships, and abroad it gains an ally willing to put ships in regional waters and troops on the ground for joint exercises. The symbolism also resonates with audiences across the Indo-Pacific. Smaller nations concerned about maintaining autonomy amid the rivalry of great powers look to such partnerships as reassurance. When European powers extend their reach into the Pacific, it sends a message that the region's security is a shared responsibility, not the domain of any single country. As Healey and Nakatani departed the podium, their words left an echo, that security today is indivisible, and that alliances must stretch across oceans. What unfolded in Tokyo was a reminder that defence is not static. It evolves, adapts and responds to the challenges of the age. This was not a long press event, but its meaning carries weight. In less than an hour, Britain and Japan demonstrated their intention to align more closely in the years ahead. Their cooperation in cyber defence, their shared commitment to freedom of navigation, and their alignment on regional security issues mark a turning point in their defence relationship. Looking forward, the partnership will be tested. 8 months of deployment for the Prince of Wales carrier group will offer real opportunities to prove this alliance on the seas. Joint exercises will measure the practicalities of cooperation, and the cyber domain will demand not only technical expertise, but trust between governments. For both London and Tokyo, today was not the end of a process, but the beginning of a new phase. It was a declaration that their destinies, once separated by geography, are now bound by common challenges. In the corridors of the Japanese Defence Ministry, amid the flash of cameras and the formal words of ministers, a message was sent far beyond Tokyo, that Britain and Japan stand ready to shape security together in the 21st century. And as the ministers walked away, leaving the microphones behind, the echoes of their statements carried across oceans, a reminder that in an era of global uncertainty, alliances remain the bedrock of peace.
I'm very proud that I'm sharing this historic moment with Secretary Healey.
イギリスといたしましては、最も早い段階で日本の
それでは以上をもちまして、共同記者発表を終了させていただきます。両大臣と、同行の方々のご在室を。
I will conclude my press conferences. Mr. Secretary, in collaboration with the President.
Our discussions today reflect the fact that this partnership with Japan is one of our broadest and one of our most important defence and security partnerships that the UK has. Today we discuss our deepening cyber and wider defence cooperation, and the UK is proud to be the first European army to have exercised with your forces on Japanese soil. We are proud to be taking our air and our naval cooperation now to new levels. The Prince of Wales heads a 12-nation carrier strike group, including 4,000 British personnel as part of the Operation HIMARS, who are on an 8-month deployment. We're doing this in support of security and freedom of navigation in the Indo-Pacific. And the intensive programme of military exercises and diplomatic activity that we have organised around the carrier strike group underlines the shared interests, the shared values and the shared understanding that we have as two nations, that the security of the Indo-Pacific is interlinked and indivisible with security in the Euro-Atlantic.